all tonight, but we start the college football season this evening as the countdown ends from the off season. I think we always started around 212 days until the college football season. We're now at 0, so it happens tonight. We're excited about that. We'll get into the biggest game, Nebraska and Cincinnati. We'll jump into that more than any of them. A couple of names and storylines to watch in this opener. The whole full weekend, travel day for Auburn. We'll talk about that even here in the opening segment. But the thing we got to start with is Alabama, the injuries, how it's stacking up a little bit. We get word after the show yesterday, Brett McMurphy, the first to report this, that the Tim Keenan injury, according to Brett McMurphy, involved tightrope surgery, something Alabama fans became very familiar with when Tua Tagovailoa was there and others. It's a surgery, Brownie, I think that Alabama sports medicine people sort of either came up with, pioneered, or made useful in sports.
I think our buddies Lyle Kane and Norm Waldrop generally get the credit for this one if they don't entirely get the credit for this one. I believe those are the guys that invented it. So, yeah, I think it's a burn. Welcome into the MyBookie Football Picks show throughout the fall, college and NFL, right here with the NextRound gang. He is Jim Dunaway. He is Lance Taylor. I am Ryan Brown. We thank you for joining us. The show presented by MyBookie.ag. Code NextRound when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. If you're new to MyBookie.ag, register and use our code. You see it on your screen, NextRound. And they're going to do a $500, up to $500 bet back bonus. You make your first bet, you miss it, they are going to cover it for you up to $500 right back into your account, so you can just start betting again right there at MyBookie.ag. That is when you use code NextRound, MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. All right, boys, we are back with actual live bullets here. We got some live games to talk about, not preseason NFL.
This is one of those, like, if you're just trying to kill the work inefficiency or work efficiency, depending on how you're looking at it, just go to MyBookie.ag and look at the sides, the totals, the player props, first quarter bets, halftime. This is that time of year where basically Monday through Friday, I think most people that like to wager, that's all they're doing.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, this is a long weekend of college football, and then we will soon have the NFL that we can look at as well. If you want us to talk about a game, hit us up in the chat room, and we will discuss that. Chat room is open for you. You bring a game up, we'll discuss that game in the chat room. Let's start right at the top of the board, though, boys. That first game out of the chute on Saturday is going to be tremendous. Texas taking on Ohio State. We have talked about this game all offseason. It is finally here. MyBookie.ag, this thing has bounced around a little bit. It's been 2, it's been 2.5, it's been 1.5. We'll see where it goes off as we talk right now. Ohio State, a 1.5-point favorite. Both teams done away breaking in a new quarterback. Arch Manning, first-year starter for Texas. Julian Sayin, first-time starter for Ohio State.
Take the name off the back of the jersey. Sayin was the more sought-after recruit. Fair?
Oh, yeah.
Julian Sayin, better high school quarterback than Arch Manning, if it wasn't Manning.
If Arch had, pick whatever your last name is, Jennings.
Jordan Rogers says the tape doesn't match the hype when it comes to Arch Manning. That's a guy who watches tape, breaks it down a lot. And for Julian Sayin, the weapons at wide receiver. Jeremiah Smith, maybe the best player on the field. If it's not, it's his DB, Caleb Downs on Ohio State. They've also got Carnell Tate, right?
Yep. Carnell Tate is back.
Talent on the other side of the field at receiver. The question to me is, can Ohio State's reworked offensive line protect against a really good pass rush from Texas? That's where the game will be decided. I'm leaning Ohio State in this game.
Yeah, it's a really tough side. I've got a total figured out in this game. I just wish for Ohio State, Julian Sayin had one of these running backs to lean on. Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, both onto the NFL. And I think those are big losses. Texas seems to have better skill outside of, obviously, as Dunaway said, Jeremiah Smith there. But can Ohio State run the football effectively to loosen things up a little bit for Sayin in that first start?
You mentioned the total. Dunaway, it's at 48 right now. I feel like this is like a 13-10 game. Like the total play to me feels like an under with these two defenses.
Yeah, you have to go to Lance's lock to get his official play. For me, it feels like an under 2, and it feels like an under to you. It feels like an under to everybody, which usually
means Lance has got the over.
Yeah, so, it seems to be whatever way it works there. I'm just saying that it feels like in a game like this, you don't get 1 versus 2 or 1 versus 3 very often. Open weekend, when you do, rarely is it on somebody else's field. It's a real home game at the Horseshoe. I would imagine with 2 new starters, you played a little close to the vest early on. Defenses aren't bad. Seems like it makes for a low-scoring game to me.
Yeah, sometimes I like to, if you like a side and you like a total, like sometimes let's just say that you like Texas and the under. Well, think about playing Ohio State's team total under. And I'm trying to check, and you might be able to see what it is right there. And if not, I can get it in 1 sec. But like Ohio State's team total, and I apologize, I do not have it.
What would you guess?
I would say it's probably around 22 and a half, 23 and a half.
Right. So if you think it's an under,
I mean, the fear there is you get a short field, you get some kind of pick six, fumble through the end zone, something crazy, then it can propel that team total over a little bit. But I mean, either one of these offenses, do you feel good about them going over 24 points?
I don't, because I think Texas has got the best defense in the country right now. Maybe not that at the end of the season. I guess the one thing that probably shouldn't worry me as much as it has about the defense for Ohio State is Matt Patricia taking over. Like, Matt Patricia's coached a lot of football. He's coached for one of the best defensive coaches ever in Bill Belichick, and he's going to have one of the best rosters in America defensively. Yeah. So I don't know why I worry so much about him taking over, but it would be a concern for me, I guess.
Well, look, I don't think this Ohio State defense is going to be as good as it was last year. I mean, it was the number 1 scoring defense in all of football, but it's still going to be a top 10 defense. I
would say that you can do a couple of interesting props on this game. One of them is both quarterbacks are over under 18.5 completions in the game.
Again, I'm playing a defensive game here. I think I go under that number.
Yeah, and
for both.
I think both are going to lean on the run if they can.
Yeah, minus 125 for Arch Manning at over 18.5 completions, minus 105 at under. For saying it's minus 110 over 18.5, minus 120 under.
Do you see a prop right now for Jeremiah Smith?
No, those are the only 2 props I see.
Yards.
Right
I would think his receiving yards probably 87.5, something like that.
Again, I'm just going to go defensive on all of these. I feel like this is a defensive game.
All the numbers are going to be lower.
Another early window game, that's on Fox. Another early window game on ABC is Tennessee-Syracuse. They are playing in the Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium over in Atlanta. Tennessee's a 2-touchdown favorite in this game with a total of 51. Tennessee minus 14 with a new quarterback. Syracuse with a new quarterback too, by the way. Kyle McCord lit it up for them last year. They're changing quarterback, but we've at least seen Angeli in big moments. He played for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Angeli got to come in the postseason last year for Notre Dame, and he played pretty well. Now, here's something to look at. ACC teams 0-6 versus the SEC and Mercedes-Benz. 5 of those 6 by losses by 17 or more. On the other side, Josh Heupel 9-0 against the number in regular season non-conference games since 2022. Heupel's been good in these spots.
When I fell in love with the Syracuse team last year, I remember betting at MyBookie when they were playing. I believe it was at Boston College, and I thought it was going to be an easy win for Syracuse. I think they lost that game outright. In that game, they got blown out by Pitt. If I see this correctly, whenever I believed in Syracuse last year, they let me down. They had such a good year last year. I go into this game feeling like Syracuse can play within the number of Tennessee, but my history with Fran Brown coach Syracuse team, if I believe in them, they let me down.
Okay.
Well, look, and Fran Brown
that's a personal trend, right?
Really, really good in year one. 3-1 against ranked teams, but they only returned 32% of their offensive production, and I just wonder defensively, are they going to be able to hold up? I know Aguilar, a lot of question marks there. Heupel 37-5 when Tennessee scores 20 or more, 0-9 when they score less than 20. This total's only 51. Not a huge expectation for a lot of points scored.
MyBookie.ag, code NextRound to get that $500 bet back bonus on your first bet. They'll cover it up to $500 when you use code NextRound at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. Our Stews reminds us in the chat, Texas controlled Jeremiah Smith very well in that game last year. Did not lead to a Longhorns win, but they had a great game plan for him last year.
Well, and everybody will remember Will Howard, how good he was down the stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm an NFL guy,
Okay.
the Ohio State against Texas is the closest thing I can see to him playing actually NFL talent. That's an alarming number.
I would agree.
If that's the number again this week.
Oh, yeah, 2 games in a row
Yeah.
basically against them, yeah.
I would say, though, that history would tell us they would not be able to take Jeremiah Smith away like they did in that game right there.
Well, and Jeremiah Smith wasn't like the sole focus last year for this Ohio State team. Remember, they had more weapons than just that.
Judkins was so big early on in that game.
Yeah, I mean, last year, it is kind of crazy. They scored 28 points when you look at very balanced as far as the receivers, but they only rushed for 81 yards, Ohio State, in that 28-14 win. Carnell Tate was your leading receiver with 7 grabs, 87 yards.
Yeah. So maybe it's a situation.
Yep.
Texas does such a good job of taking him away, it opens it up for somebody else.
Another early game, this is in the 11 o'clock Central, noon Eastern window, is Northwestern at Tulane. Tulane a minus 6-point favorite here. 46.5 is your total. Dunaway, what makes this one so interesting is Tulane is starting a quarterback they didn't even have on their team until about a month ago.
Yeah, and this is a guy in Retzloff who, when he was at BYU, you two, and even I considered them to be Big 12 champions. Now he goes to Tulane, who, if they had kept their quarterback, I would have said could win the American and could be the group of 5. So now you got a guy who is good enough to lead a team to a Big 12 championship game, going to a team that around the quarterback is good enough to be a group of 5 representative in the playoffs. Could be a perfect marriage between a guy who got kicked out of BYU or chose to leave BYU because of a rule at that school that allows him to go to Tulane where there is no rules in New Orleans and have a perfect marriage there that leads Tulane to big wins in playoffs.
Oh, yeah. Like, how has Jake been able to pull back just walking the streets of the quarter after being caged up in Provo for so long? On the other side, Northwestern's breaking in a new quarterback too. Preston Stone had his opportunity last year for Rhett Lashley and an SMU team that goes to the postseason, but Kevin Jennings won that job, was a more talented quarterback, but I think this is a good location for Preston Stone. I like both these coaches. David Braun, great year one, out of nowhere with 8 wins. They fell apart last year, but I think Northwestern's going to be a little improved running the football with Cam Porter. I like Northwestern early. Again, it's 11 o'clock Saturday game. I tend to stay away from those, but I kind of like the Wildcats plus the points.
Toledo, Kentucky. Morgan wants us to talk about that. MyBookie.ag has that game at Kentucky, favored 9 right now. This summer it was up around 10.5. It briefly dropped to 8.5. It is back up to Kentucky, favored 9. Total of 48.5 at Kroger Field. I know this is your upset alert from earlier this week.
It is, and it's going in the wrong direction, point spread. This is the wrong direction if I make the pick, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like if it's 8.5 and becomes 9, 9.5, that's bad for me. Right?
I thought it was going the other way.
Yeah, no,
it has. It's kind of bounced back and forth, but it's at 9 right now.
8.5 on Tuesday when I picked it. It is back up to 9 now. Listen, it's huge for Mark Stoops. I just don't have faith in Calzada. Toledo's picked to win the MAC. There's no doubt Kentucky has a better roster. They bring in some portal receiving help for Calzada, but it's still Calzada. Kentucky's defense should make this a yucky, ugly game. I think Toledo can stay inside the number.
No, I think the more I don't want to say more experienced because Calzada goes way back, but Tucker Gleason has played a lot of football, and he is a really, really good quarterback for Jason Candle. And I think Toledo. I think they're going to win the MAC. I know they're not favored to win the MAC, but I think Toledo is going to be really difficult out. And, this would be one of those games where I could see Kentucky really, really struggle.
Yeah, brutal loss for Mark Stoops if that goes down. Yeah. All right, MyBookie.ag, code NextRound to jump on board and get that bet back bonus up to $500 on your first bet when you use code NextRound. If you lose, they put it right back into your account and you just fire down again when you use code NextRound at MyBookie.ag, code NextRound at MyBookie.ag. Let's go to the 2:30 Central window. Alabama is at Florida State. It has been 13.5 for quite a while. On Thursday, It bumped up to 14. Alabama, a full 2-touchdown favorite, total of 50.5. Could be some weather in this game, but Alabama now favored 14.
That's it for me, LT, is the weather. Last I saw Alabama play a football game, the torrential downpour early on against Michigan, and it set the table for a Michigan upset of Alabama, even with Michigan having a bunch of opt-out players. Jam Miller's injury, Tim Keenan's injury, a couple of veterans guys who had started at their position. Alabama's a better roster. Alabama should win this game. Can they cover a number? That is now 2 touchdowns in that weather?
I am fascinated to see how Florida State is going to manufacture points. You know, you've got a new starting quarterback that's got a lot of experience in Tommy Castellanos. You bring in a true freshman wide receiver who's going to be starting in Javon Boggs. You bring in Deuce Robinson from USC, one of the biggest receivers in all of college football. Squirrel White, a guy that we saw at Tennessee. But the fact of the matter, the last 9 games they played in August, they're 1-8 against the number. Last year was a disaster, 2-10 overall. They were 3-8-1 against the number last year. Alabama 9-0 against the spread last 9 Week 1 games. This is the lowest preseason ranking Alabama's had since 2008. I think they come in, they try to prove a point. Kalen DeBoer has a very quiet confidence to him right now.
14 points is an awful lot, though, against a Power 5 team on the road. I think it's the biggest road favorite of the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, or it's one of them, certainly.
Them and Mississippi State in Hattiesburg.
But as far as a big game, it's Alabama close.
I mean, when you think about Alabama playing at Florida State, and you can say they're the biggest road favorite. Now, it's Week 1. A lot of the big teams do not go on the road in Week 1, or they play a neutral site. But still, I mean, when you could say Alabama's the biggest road favorite in Week 1, and they're playing Florida State, that kind of gets your attention.
I would take this back to Saban's last season in 2023 when Florida State goes undefeated in the regular season. They lose Jordan Travis. If that game was played in Tallahassee in 2023, same rosters, Alabama's a touchdown favorite.
Last I saw, Mississippi State had dropped down to 12.5, up to 14 for Bama. So keeping Bama as the biggest road favorite of any SEC meaningful game there for the weekend. Listen, y'all cannot be nervous about it. I'm going to be nervous about it. Just the helmets on the field together, new worked stadium, and the weather. We'll see if Ty Simpson can throw a wet ball.
Okay, I'm overplaying this a little bit because obviously, you know, if Penn State lost to Nevada as a 44-point favorite, that would be a worse loss. But I can't think of a loss with Kalen DeBoer coming back for year 2 after missing the postseason that would be worse than this.
It'd be a bad one. There's no doubt. With all those things considered.
It would be the most impactful loss of the weekend.
It would be the biggest Alabama controversial loss since when?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
You have to go back to La Monroe?
No. I hate to put these
when
two
it
in the
really
same,
didn't even matter.
Yeah, I hate to put those two in the same category, Florida State and La Monroe. They're such different programs.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the impact. Saban year 1, it wasn't that big of a deal. The optics were bad. But if you're talking about year 2 with Kalen DeBoer, and it finally he's got a hold of the culture, he's got his roster, nobody transferred out after spring ball, this would be an awful loss.
Here is Jody with a 3-leg parlay he wants us to discuss. Syracuse plus 13.5. It's 14 at MyBookie.ag. We'll discuss it at 13.5 for your parlay. Southern Miss plus 13.5. That's 12.5 against State. We just talked about Toledo plus 9.5 at Kentucky. If you're going to do a parlay, how do you like the anti-SEC parlay there with 3 SEC opponents? Syracuse neutral site, Southern Miss at home, and Toledo on the road.
I don't love Syracuse. I do like Southern Miss. Again, Charles Huff going from Marshall to Southern Miss. He's taking 24 players, I think it is, from that roster. So this will not be the Southern Miss team from last year. Won't even be able to recognize them. But at the same time, I think Blake Shapen and this Mississippi State team should be much improved in year 2 under Jeff Levy. But I do lean Southern Miss in this spot. I don't like the Syracuse play. And then we just talked about Toledo. I do like Toledo.
Toledo's my upset pick. I thought they had a chance to win it outright. Hate USM's play. I think Mississippi State wins that game and covers easily.
Boat race?
I don't know about that, but I mean, it's a rivalry game, relatively speaking.
Well,
they don't have to play it a lot. It'll be juiced up in Hattiesburg.
That's the problem. You're on the road in Hattiesburg. Charles Huff had a lot of Marshall transfers come down there. Did that make them that much better? I mean, it's not like Marshall was world beaters last year. It's not like you had transfers from USC.
They did win the Sun Belt.
They were really good against the number last year.
Okay, all right.
10-2 against the spread last year.
Huff, 10-2 against the spread.
The Thundering Herd. And I would take Huff with these points in this spot. My question to you guys, how much Mississippi State representation will you get in
I think
the
a lot.
stands there?
I think a lot.
I mean,
Is it 50-50?
Oh, I'd say yeah.
Yeah, probably so. Because I don't know what Southern Miss draws for just a normal home game.
I'd say half their stadium.
Yeah, so there should be half the seats open.
By the way, this would be another awful loss in the SEC.
For Jeff Levy?
Yeah.
That'd be a terrible loss for Jeff Levy.
Because you're trying to tee it up for week 1 or week 2 against Arizona State.
Yeah, which could be a huge win for him. You don't want to start. Goose asked about Georgia Tech, Colorado. We're going to do a thing here called the six-pack. Hang tight, Goose. That game is heavily featured in the six-pack. 3 picks from me, 3 picks from Dunaway. We'll compete all year here on the MyBookie Football Pick Show, and that is a key game in that one. Our Stews asked about Georgia Southern Fresno. You've got to play on that game right, Dunaway, so we'll hold off on that one for 1 second. We can go to the night slate on Saturday, though, and LSU Clemson is the big game in the nighttime slate, being played in what they call Little Death Valley. Clemson, a 3.5-point home favorite over LSU. A total of 57.5, Jimmy. So we're seeing some points in this game, according to Vegas, and I think that's the way this game will play out.
I agree with you. I think we get a high-scoring game in that contest. What about you?
Well, Clemson 1-6 against the SEC against the spread their last 7 out. Dabo was 0-3 straight up against the SEC last year. They weren't good against the number. Neither one of these teams. Clemson was 6-7 against the spread last year. Brian Kelly, to add injury to insult, only 5-8 against the number. We've talked about this. Nonstop, replacing 4 starters on that offensive line. That's going to be difficult. Can they run the football? They couldn't run the football last year. Caden Durham is going to be one of the better backs coming back, but consistently, Brian Kelly and LSU haven't been able to run the football, and if they can't run the football against that defensive front, it's going to be a long night.
Best defensive front probably in America, including Peter Woods. You brought up on the next round how many NFL scouts and GMs are going to be at this game. One of the guys they're watching is Peter Woods. And he is a handful for LSU with that reworked offensive line to try to contain.
It's the game with the most scouts and GMs at it. 35 scouts, 5 GMs at that game in Death Valley.
That's a handful for LSU, trying to deal with that defensive front. And that's what worries you, especially as loud as that stadium could get.
Yeah. That means Gumbo Tiger 247 rivals .com didn't get a media pass probably, or didn't get a seat.
He's bitching about it somewhere.
No, I know I do. When they say, Dunaway, you don't have a seat in the press box because we've got 35 NFL scouts and 5 general managers.
Brown just runs them off.
That's right. You got my seat. Get out of there. A couple late night games that point spread wise say they're going to be pretty good. In Corvallis, Oregon State plays host to Cal. The Beavers -1.5. Cal lost everything. Brian Harsin takes over as Cal's offensive coordinator, and a bunch of guys hit the portal. I don't know how Cal is going to score points this year.
I mean, you lose tremendous guys out of the backfield. And Mendoza now at Indiana, Jay Knott now at Oklahoma. I mean, that's going to be one of these unfortunate. You've got a Power 4 in Cal that will not be able to keep quality players.
Those are the guys, they were going to leave regardless. The guys that left after Harsin was announced is the ones that are worried about, the ones that could help you beat an Oregon State. I don't know what to expect from Oregon State either, because where has their recruiting been since they've basically fallen off the map when the Pac-12 disintegrated and
Jonathan
now it's being
Smith
rebuilt.
went to Michigan State.
For whatever it's worth, Phil Steele, I think they're one of his most improved or biggest surprise teams coming into the season.
Oregon State?
Yeah, Oregon State.
Yeah. They'll have to do a lot to surprise me.
Yeah. I'll be surprised if they do anything.
Tough game. I just, with the Cal makeover on the roster, it's just it's one of those probably we'll stay away from.
What will be a better game to watch, a 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern start time on main Fox, is Utah at UCLA. The Utes, a 5.5-point favorite, total of 52 on the road in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I feel like you're getting a little value here. I think Devin Dampier coming in with his former head coach, now the offense coordinator under Kyle Whittingham. I think the offense is going to click. I think they're going to be really good up front offensively and defensively on those lines under Whittingham. And coming off that 5-7, I fully expect a major bounce back for Utah. I was shocked how good UCLA, or I should say how competitive they were in spots in Deshaun Foster's first year last year. How much better is Nico going to be?
Camp says he's playing well. Well, I guess by UCLA quarterback standards. I like this UCLA team maybe to make a bowl game. Utah's a Big 12 contender. Just keep in mind, historically, Utah quarterbacks don't really finish games in that building.
Oh, no.
So keep that in mind.
That's a bad trend.
But Utah's my pick.
Okay.
Yeah. Just think back to a couple of Rose Bowls when Kai Willingham went out there and our boy
Camerizing,
all the time.
Other side of town, like they can't win in the Coliseum.
Utah cannot. Yeah.
But they've had success outside of those injuries in the big Rose Bowl when they're not playing UCLA.
Yeah. Before we go to the Sunday games, a reminder of MyBookie.ag. You use code NextRound when you sign up there at MyBookie.ag, and you get that bet back bonus. Your first bet up to $500 covered by MyBookie.ag. You lose up to $500. They put that money right back into your account. You get to fire down again and play at MyBookie.ag. Bet back bonus of up to $500. That is when you use code NextRound. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. All right, we've got ESPN ABC doubleheader on Sunday. Not pro football on Sunday yet, but some good football in the college game. First in Atlanta, Virginia Tech at South Carolina. Virginia Tech playing South Carolina. The Gamecocks a 7.5-point favorite, a total of 52 in this game. Virginia Tech in their opening game last year stunned by an SEC team in Vanderbilt in Nashville. This would not be stunning here. South Carolina and Shane Beamer, a lot of expectations. Brent Pry may be coaching for his job. I don't know which coach is under more pressure there, though, because this is probably the biggest expectation Shane Beamer's ever had as a coach.
But Shane Beamer, from everyone close to the program, is taking this game not like it's mighty South Carolina ranked against Virginia Tech. It's almost a legacy game for him playing against the program his dad built. So this has had Beamer's ultimate focus. And Virginia Tech could get caught looking ahead because they got Vandy next week in a revenge game.
Speaking of, Frank Beamer never beat South Carolina, 0-4-1 against South Carolina. First time these two will meet since 1991. But Virginia Tech kind of in a spot. They were in the South Carolina spot last year when they headed to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt. Everybody thought Virginia Tech was going to be one of these surprise dark horses to maybe get to the 12-team college football playoff, and they get upset by Vanderbilt. The season was never the same. Now they're catching 7.5 against a South Carolina team that is so hyped up. Now, what Lenore Sellers do we get? Do we get the first half Lenore Sellers we saw in 2024 or the second half Lenore Sellers? A lot of pressure on Sellers, too. And I think talent-wise, ceiling-wise, most potential in the SEC. But this is an interesting game. And you bring up how big of a deal this is for Pry. His first 3 years, 16-31 or 16-21 they are?
16-21, yeah. Losing record and a losing record in the ACC. This is obviously not a conference game. But, I mean, that's not what Virginia Tech fans have gotten used to. Even post Frank Beamer.
No, from 93 to 2017, 25 straight winning seasons.
Yeah.
New play caller for South Carolina. That doesn't always translate to being smooth in game one. We'll see how it works out.
Oh, and it's Mike
Shula, which Alabama fans don't have the best memories of. 6:30 Sunday night on ABC. Down in South Florida, Notre Dame a 2.5-point road favorite at Miami. Should be a charged atmosphere. Dunaway, I like you. Think this will be close to like a 50-50 bowl game. Notre Dame, a 2.5-point favorite, 49.5 total, but I still think it'll be a charged-up atmosphere, even if it's 50-50.
Yeah, listen, I love the fact that Carson Beck's in this game. If he's healthy, he's the best quarterback in this game. And then don't forget Miami. They've got some talent, too. Everyone will talk about running back Jeremiah Love. For Miami, they've got a kid, Jordan Lyle, who was going to be a big Ohio State commitment. Miami ends up flipping him in 2024. He is poised for a breakout game against a tough Notre Dame defense. Give me Miami and Carson Beck. Give me Jordan Lyle, and I'll take Miami without points, money line. Miami wins this football game.
I think Miami wins a football game, too, and I think we're in the minority here. You look at the last 4 times Notre Dame was ranked in the preseason top 6. They finished outside of the top 15. I think their schedule's a little more difficult than people are giving them credit for. Say this about Notre Dame. We talked about the most likable coach in college football right now, Marcus Freeman. What makes him a little bit more likable? 13-3 against the number last year. Cristobal lost some games, couldn't cover, 6-7 against the number. I do think Beck is going to be healthy, and I think he will play well.
All right, Monday night, TCU, North Carolina. That's coming up in the Pick Six. We'll talk about that in one moment. Let's get some reaction before we do that from some of you in the chat room. MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. Code NextRound when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. That's going to give you a $500 bet back bonus. You make your first bet with MyBookie.ag, you lose up to $500. They're going to put it right back into your account, and you can fire down again the bet back bonus, $500, up to $500 with MyBookie.ag, code NextRound. If you are watching this on demand, we do this live every Thursday about 10 minutes or so after 12, after our live show, the next round is over. And as we're doing this live, it is the first night of college football. Colton, ask you for a thought on a game that kicks very early on the first day of college football about the smart money being on USF. Have you heard anything about smart money coming in on South Florida tonight? I know you like them to win the game.
A lot of sharps are playing South Florida against Boise State. They just think the Boise State magical ride, a lot of this was based on Ashton Genty last year. And again, South Florida didn't have their quarterback. Byron Brown is going to be a massive factor here. But yeah, smart money is on USF, and that's one of the reasons this number, some places, has dipped to 5.5. Where are you seeing it right now?
I think MyBookie.ag, I'll do a quick update right here, has it at 5.5.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
So that would be
it's gone down, yeah.
A surefire for you. Yeah, 5.5, total of 62. Some scoring in that game.
Yeah, it should be a fun game.
Yeah, total of 62. All right, both of you give an answer here. Stan is in an upset pick league. You pick an upset, it hits, you get the points, all right? So you're looking for a big fish here. He asked for your opinions on this one. Starting with USF. So, hang on, I read the wrong one. Excuse me. My apologies on that. I'm looking for the one that had somebody was asking for.
Well, tell Stan we do like USF.
Okay, USF.
Yep.
So that would be a good one. Is there another one? Let me just finish it up this way. Is there another one you like for him?
Another outright dog winner?
Yeah, outright dog winner that would give you some decent points if you picked it.
That's always tricky.
But you don't lose points if you pick the wrong side.
It doesn't appear. Yeah, you just don't get points.
I'll tell you one to look at tomorrow night.
Toledo wouldn't be bad for you.
Sam Houston State.
Okay, here we go.
They kind of get run off by Western Kentucky, 41-24. But now you're bringing in UNLV that was scrambling just to get the win last week. This number's gone, I think, from 14.5 all the way down to 9.5 in some shops. Maybe it all comes together in week 2 for Dan Mullen, but boy, they looked out of sorts.
Yeah, Sam Houston State Dunaway plus 9.5 at MyBookie.ag, so that wouldn't be a bad one there.
I mean, if you want to try to win the league right off the bat,
swing for the fence.
Take Nevada.
If you want to try to win it right off the bat, I mean, it's close, but new quarterback, injured wide receiver, so you got a lot of inexperienced wide receivers, and hasn't been great in opening games against no-name teams. Montana State getting, 27.5 against Oregon.
Last I saw,
it would shock the world. Likely not going to happen, but that's one that I would circle that could get interesting.
Yeah, real quick on that one, though. It depends on what you bet. If you're 1,000-plus better, which there are some of those guys out there, this is going to be limited where you can play this number and how much you can actually play on.
But if he's just in the league getting the points of the point spread,
if they win that game outright.
If they win that game, you don't even have to participate the rest of the season, probably.
Yeah, so that would be a nice win to start with. And then other than that, I mean, I don't know if you can find a number on. I mean, there's a number out there in Nichols and Troy.
What time is that game? Give me
it's 6 o'clock ESPN Plus on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that.
Troy's going to win that game, though. I was speaking something else. I just think it's an easy cover for Troy, so I was on the wrong side. It's an upset league. So I'm wrong
upset
on
league.
that.
That's all you want.
Montana State would be my play.
All right,
take a swing.
Teaser option for Robert. He wants to tease one of these. Who's a good option here?
Don't
is your best option. Ohio State, Syracuse, Florida State, Toledo, Southern Miss. What's a good teaser option? If you did, you say don't.
If I played one of those at a teaser, I would play Southern Miss plus the 23.5.
Oh, so you tease it up, yeah, plus 23.5, yeah. Southern Miss plus 23. You'd have to like. I know you like Mississippi State in that game, but Southern Miss plus 23.5 would be hard to turn down at home.
Oh yeah.
They all look easy though.
So teasers.
Well, it depends. If you do 2-team, it's 6 points a side. If you do 3-team, it's 10 points a side.
I mean, if you're moving it 10 points, I wouldn't feel good in either one of the Alabama or Auburn games moving either line either way, to be honest with you.
Ooh,
I wouldn't bet my life on either one.
I'd feel really good about Alabama minus the 3.5 or 4.
Yeah, but it still gets that tricky 3.5 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you feel? Do you
Feel
feel
good with the
better
horn.
about Florida State 23.5?
No, that's what I'm saying.
24?
As I said, either way, I don't feel good. I mean, Baylor Auburn at 2.5. I wouldn't feel good at 12.5 or Baylor.
You know, he brought up Syracuse. I don't like Syracuse to have any shot at winning this game, but if you got them up around 24 points with a total of 51, it seems, I don't want to say safe.
Yeah,
I just don't know how Tennessee's going to score a ton of points.
Unless you look at the Pitt game last year. And
that's right.
I think Pitt beat them 40-something to 13.
All right, let's get to our pick 6 each week. Dunaway's going to pick 3 games against the point spread. I'm going to pick 3 games against the point spread, and Lance is going to tell us where we are wrong. How you want to do this? You want us to go back and forth?
Yeah.
Lob these back and forth like we're playing tennis? You go first, Jim. You got the lead already.
Okay, I'll start with Georgia Tech on Friday night. No live mascot, in deference to running the mascot at Ralphie. So no live mascot. Not a problem with running for Haynes King in Georgia Tech. He has a difference to running. He wants to run. He'll run. Good offensive line. I like Georgia Tech's defense, too. A lot of people are on Colorado to win this game outright. I'll take Georgia Tech, and I'll give you 4.5 points.
You know what this is?
What is this?
It's an altitude game.
It is. They played at altitude, which is why, Lance, I got Colorado plus the 4.5. I'm on the other side of this game.
I lean with you. I mean, look, I don't have a big expectation for Colorado. I know there's a lot of expectation for Georgia Tech. Some believe they could find their way getting to a college football playoff. Haynes King is the real deal. But Deion Sanders, man, not only is he surprised in 2 years there, 16-7-1 against the number. Prime likes to cover. Caden Salter will get the start. I think it's a tighter game. It's one of those thread the needle. I think Georgia Tech wins, but they don't cover.
O-line and running back improvement for Colorado, but I like what Georgia Tech, Haynes King have. Problem is there's a lot of expectations for them this year. Can they handle the pressure? Somehow they left a loss to Georgia last year being remembered as the winners in that game. Can they come back down to earth, start this season, and get on a roll again? But I think they will. I'll go Georgia Tech.
I got Colorado plus the 4.5. Where are you going next?
Okay, I go again. I'm going to go West Coast late, 9:30 window. Sunbelt team, Georgia Southern, going all the way across the country. I'll take Georgia Southern coming off an 8-5 season last year to win the game. Did not like the way E.J. Warner looked at quarterback for Fresno against Kansas. I think they improve a little bit on the offensive side, but I think Georgia Southern just with good old-fashioned wide-open offense, throw that ball around the yard. Georgia Southern wins this game outright. I think they cover by 1.5.
I'm going to stay away from my pick because I will have this available at Lance's Lock on Saturday, lanceslock.com, where you get a free play every single day. I will say this, though. Sportsbook managers were running to adjust that number, watching live. You mentioned E.J. Warner was not good against Kansas, and they went actually from a favorite minus 2.5 to now getting 2.5 in some spots.
Yeah.
My second game, we've mentioned it a couple of times because it is the biggest number on the board, so I'm going rich here. Penn State giving up 43.5 at home against the Nevada Wolfpack.
You're playing this?
I am playing this. I like Penn State minus the 43.5. It's a big number for a reason, Jim. Penn State not known for scoring points. Andy Koldenicki, the offensive coordinator, and Drew Aller and Singleton, Nevada.
It is the only way to play this game, though.
Yes.
It is the biggest number on the board. It just, what does Franklin want to do? Do you want to get all these guys out and play as many as you want?
He wants to score a bunch of points is what
That's
Franklin
a lot
wants to
of
do.
points.
That's a lot of points.
But if I played it, I would play that way. I would not play that game, I don't think.
43.5. Jim Knowles, first game as offensive coordinator for Penn State.
Defensive, yes.
Thank you. Defensive coordinator for Penn State. That means Nevada will struggle to score. James Franklin, almost 70% covering as a favorite. 70%. That's a pretty good number. He's bad against top 10 teams. He's good at covering against
You're going to need close to a shutout to get home on this one.
I think I can get that.
I have a feeling late in the game when backups are in, Nevada backdoors you.
Oh, that's going to be tough.
Yep.
They will be playing for that shutout, though.
They will be. They'll put the starters back in for me.
My last one is I'm going to take Auburn on the road Friday night in Waco against Baylor. Minus the 2.5 is where I have it. Auburn's got a more talented roster than Baylor. If Jackson Arnold can just play even with Sawyer Robertson, then I think they have a chance. Pass defense, the weakest part of Baylor's team, in my opinion. That's where they fall apart. Auburn's able to throw the ball early, throw the ball often. Singleton will have a big game. Cam Coleman will have a big game. Horatio Fields will have a big game. Jackson Arnold will have a big game. Easy cover.
You know who won't have a good night at the sports books if you're right. If both Tech and Auburn cover, it's going to be I would think it would be a little disastrous with both favorites.
Will they turn the lights off? Or
I don't think
they'll
I think they'll be fine there.
Okay,
I think they'll be fine there. I am interested to see how good this DJ Durkin defense is going to be. I mean, it was good last year. How much improved will it be in year 2?
All right, for my final game, I'm going to go to the Monday Nighter, TCU, taking on North Carolina. TCU, a 3.5-point favorite.
Gio Lopez named the starter.
That's right. For North Carolina, that is the transfer from South Alabama. Pretty good quarterback, but the quarterback that's quarterbacking TCU is actually the leading returning passer in the Big 12, which is a conference that's got some pretty good quarterback play. North Carolina 0-7 against the spread at home last year. I know it's a new coach in Bill Belichick, but they failed to cover every single time last year at home.
Quarterback matchup, definitely Josh Hoover over Gio Lopez.
100%.
Coaching matchup, one of the biggest mismatches we've seen in history, although this will be Belichick's first bite at the apple.
Belichick's never won a college game.
At college, and Sonny Dykes, not to discredit the fact that he did play for a national championship. I do think TCU is going to be improved. They were 6-7 against the number last year. You mentioned the 0-7 run at home against the number for North Carolina. 2-10-1 last year against the number overall.
Yeah,
so not good at all. I don't have a big expectation for Carolina, but this number has really, really moved from Carolina short favorite to now catching points at home.
That's hard to believe. Carolina actually opened as the favorite in this game, and that flipped around pretty big. I mean, that's a pretty big turnaround, isn't it? One stat before we get out of here, and I'll get your guys' opinion on this. It's a game that I don't know how much of it I will watch, but it is an interesting stat. And Georgia and Marshall, Kirby Smart, 0-12-1 according to Colton when he's a favorite of 35 or more. They're a 38.5-point favorite in Athens this weekend. Kirby rarely covers in these situations.
Other side of the coin, though, is every time you guys have talked about Southern Miss, what have you talked about?
What have we talked about?
What have I talked about?
All Marshall's players leaving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, Marshall, again, was great against the number last year. If Kirby wants to cover in this spot, they'll cover.
Yeah, 0-12-1 when it's a 38 or more, and he's 38.5, not 35, excuse me, so 38 or more.
It's one of those games where you'll get out there, and if Kirby wants it to be less, he can make it less, but you'll get out there, and Marshall will look like they had a bunch of people transfer out.
They barely filled the team.
I could see, with so many question marks, at least outside of the program with Gunnar Stockton, really build some confidence, put up some offensive numbers.
And I mean this genuinely also, with Kirby Smart, knowing the coach across the field has had to basically rebuild a team, would he have some mercy on him? I don't think Kirby would look to run the score up on this. He's got nothing to gain.
No, look, if you're going to lay it with Georgia, you better have a hell of a first half.
Yeah.
You need to be up 35 at half.
I mean, he took it easy on Mike Norvell in that Orange Bowl.
No.
What was that, 66-3?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different situation.
Yeah, I think he was sick of hearing them bitch about not getting in.
I think he was making a point there. I don't think he'll do the same thing to Marshall. All right, all weekend long. It starts on Thursday night, goes through Monday night, the college football week number 1. You can play it right there at MyBookie.ag. Code NextRound gets you that sign-up bonus. You sign up, you use code NextRound, and they will cover your first bet up to $500. You lose that bet, they put it right back into your account, and you can fire it down again when you use code NextRound at MyBookie.ag. That's code NextRound at MyBookie.ag. We'll be live just after noon Central Time every Thursday with the MyBookie.ag football pick show. We'll do some NFL when their season gets started next week. Thank you for joining us. Give us a thumbs up and make sure you have liked and subscribed. Subscribe and set your alerts at NextRound Live on YouTube, so you always know when we're live, and follow us on social media at NextRound Live. Enjoy the football. We'll see you next Thursday on the MyBookie.ag football pick show.